Hey everyone, welcome to This Week in Fantasy and Science Fiction News. I am Paul, and welcome. So, this week, March 10th was the main release day. We have 3 sci-fi books that I wanted to mention, and then a couple others that have been released in a different format. So, the science fiction books that I wanted to mention were Persona by Genevieve Valentine. This is a near-future political thriller where diplomats have become celebrities, but someone wants the United Amazonian Rainforest Confederation leader dead, and they try to assassinate her, but a paparazzi actually saves her life, and together they have this adventure of trying to figure out who's trying to kill her. The next book is The Mechanical by Ian Tregillis. It's a story about a mechanical man named Jax. That was a name that was given to him by his human masters. He is a robot slave, and he wishes to become free, and he shall become free. And the third book was actually released a week ago. It's by Ben Bova. It's like a 5 or 6 time Hugo Award-winning author. It's called Transhuman. It follows a man named Luke, and he is a cellular biologist. His granddaughter gets an inoperable tumor in her brain. He wants to try an experimental drug on her, but her parents will not let him do it. So Luke kidnaps his own granddaughter to administer the drug that he believes will save her life. But Luke himself is old and he's failing in health himself. Luke decides to use an experimental drug on himself that has successfully reversed the aging process in animals, but he's not sure what will happen to him as a human. Luke is fleeing the law enforcement, but while he's fleeing, his body is growing stronger and he is growing younger. And also I want to mention that The Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison and Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson have both been released on mass market paperback recently. So if you have yet to read those 2 books, I would suggest grab the mass market paperback. Also, Brandon Sanderson has released his short story, Shadows for Silence in the Forest of Hell, on ebook form. This was before only found in the Dangerous Woman anthology, but now he has released it as an ebook. So those are your new releases for this week. Alright, so the first bit of news I want to talk about is M. Todd Gallaglass wrote a blog post about piracy and ebooks. He is an independent author, and he is trying to build a reader base. I've yet to read one of his books, but I do have one. And he was curious, and he decided to look up his books on a very popular piracy website. And what he found shocked him. He found that his books were downloaded between 400 and 900 times. So he has 9 books that was listed on the piracy website, 9 of them. Some were downloaded about 500 times, others were downloaded 900 times, others were downloaded 500 times. He figured out the royalties that he would have gotten from each book if they actually paid for that book. And his royalties off those books would have ended up being $13,500. Here's the thing. In 2014, from Amazon's Kindle store, he only made $1,400. 9 times less than what he would have made if those people that downloaded his ebook illegally would have bought his book legally. Now, the thing of it is, just because they downloaded it illegally doesn't really mean that they would have bought it legally, but some of those people that downloaded it illegally would have bought it legally, and he would have made more money off it. We're living in a time where low-tier and mid-tier authors are working full-time jobs other than being an author. Some of your favorite authors in the speculative fiction world are working a day job, a 9-to-5 day job. They're not making a ton of money off their books. Do some research, check out numbers. You'll be very surprised that people that you expect to be writing for a living aren't actually writing for a living. They're writing on the side. And another news article that I want to talk about is also a blog post. It comes from Mark Lawrence. And in this blog post from Mark Lawrence, it talks about the rape of a female in India, and more specifically, the reactions of the rapist towards the woman. And it's just horrible. They look at the woman as less than human, that it's her fault for being raped. And Mark Lawrence, when he wrote his Prince of Thorns book, there is a scene where his main character takes advantage of a woman. And, you know, at the time when he was writing it, he thought that the people that would be reading his books would come from a Western mindset and culture where they would automatically know that what that character is doing is wrong. You know, and now that Mark Lawrence is popular, some of his books are being found in places like India where these things are happening, where women are being blamed for being raped, and that the men believe that it's almost their right to rape them. And he's talking about, does he have any responsibility with his books that he wrote? Is what he wrote about his characters somehow going to influence people in other parts of the world that really don't value women as much as, say, the Western cultures? And even in the Western cultures, it's difficult to say that we really value women's rights completely, you know. It's just a very interesting article. I would suggest you guys read it and check it out. I think it's great. Personally, I believe that fiction is fiction, and, you know, an author really has no responsibility for people that read his fiction and then might commit an act like this. It's obvious that in the culture that Lawrence lives and with his writing that he believes this action to be detestable. It's not bringing glory to this action. So I think it's okay to put these scenes in a book because it's fiction. But when you can glorify those scenes, or you make them an important part of the book, bringing a lot of attention to it, I think that can be dealt with a little bit better, and it can be cut back some. But yeah, check out that article. It's very interesting. And to go along with the previous news article, this news article is about what women want in their characters in comic books and in fantasy and science fiction. So they had a bunch of female artists redesign some characters from famous comic books and a few from fantasy books to show what they believe these women should be dressed like. Not to be dressed over sexual, and to actually have an outfit and armor that is fundamentally sound, that actually makes sense, that covers vital organs, you know. But also some of them said, you know, it's okay for them to wear something that's a little bit sexy to make them feel fine, to feel good about how they look. You know, women are coming in droves to the science fiction and fantasy world, and they just want to be included in the conversations. You know, they're not being consulted, and their point of view is not being taken into consideration when it comes to these female characters, and it should be. So many women are now involved in speculative fiction, comic books, nerd culture. It's amazing, but the authors, the writers, the artists need to be involved with talking with the female fan base as well with the male. And the important thing is that including a woman's point of view does not replace or invalidate the man's point of view. They just want to be involved. They want to have two point of views. And that's okay. Next set of news, Elizabeth Bear did an AMA over on Reddit. I'll put the link below. Check that out. She answers some great questions, and you get to know her more as a person and as an author. Tor Books has a new home. It is on iTunes, the iBooks, and they actually have a specialized section for their books. So you can go on iTunes and type in Tor, and you can see all the Tor new releases, all the Tor books, and then they're going to be releasing their digital catalogs, the small novellas and small short stories that they're going to be releasing. I think it's great for Tor. I think that they're going to have a lot more newer readers by going on iTunes, and I wish them the best of luck. And lastly, guys, the Kitschis, the winners were released, and the winner for the best novel was Grasshopper Jungle by Andrew Smith, and the best debut novel was Viper Wine by Hermione Iyer. So congrats to Andrew Smith and Hermione Iyer. This has been your week in fantasy news. I struggled a little bit during this one. I apologize. I hope it ended up being okay. I will talk to you guys soon. Have a great week. And please subscribe, like, and follow. And comment. And don't forget, visit my website, commontouchoffantasy.com. I review all the books that I read, all the books that I make a video for. I also write a review for before I make the video. So check out my website, commontouchoffantasy.com.